Hey, this is Roger. I think you guys have probably seen all of the conversations going on where SEOs get together and talk and ask questions. I do most of that on Facebook, and there have been a lot of conversations about entities, and entities can be one of two things. An entity can be a business entity, which would be basically a brand name, but there are also entities that Google uses to understand what your business is. So in this video, I'm going to take you through some of these conversations and I'm going to show you our solution because everybody talks about entities, but nobody's telling you how to get the right entities. And in this video series, I'm going to do just that, showing you all of this for free and how you can do it on your own. It's going to include schema and entity mapping and some other things that you're probably diluting your website with. And we'll get into that too. But for now, this is a post by somebody who was just posting anonymously. What what would people recommend as the best blog post creation tool? It would be helpful if it could scan the website, create interlinking, blah blah blah. Well, well, the answer to this that that is relevant to what we're doing now is Bill Hartzer. He's been around a long time. I don't know Bill personally, but I know to listen to him when he talks. And he said, wondered 100% use links for this. Interlinking done based on entities. Now, he's not talking about a brand name there. He's talking about entities as Google understands them, but also blog content written for you based on entities. So this is an important conversation. You may know what entities are, you may not know what entities are, but I'm going to show you another conversation. Okay, this one is about entity alignment. So, and this is in Tim Kahlert's group. What's the one thing that made the biggest ranking difference for you recently? Now, we're in the middle of 2026. It's almost June 2026. And I can tell you that everybody got mashed in 2025, including me. So he says, not the basics, not add keywords, something from real experience, curious to see different perspectives. And the second part of that conversation came from also somebody else I do not know, Travis WebDev. For me, the biggest jump came from tightening entity alignment between the site and the Google business profile. Now, that's another subchapter of things that we're going to go over. I mapped services, categories, and internal pages so that everything clearly reinforced the same intent. What he's talking about there is something I've called mirroring in the past. Your website has to mirror your GBP and vice versa. Then he said added strong internal links plus location relevant FAQs. Wasn't flashy, but it removed ambiguity and rankings moved fast, especially in the map pack. Okay, the main thing you need to know here was that it removed ambiguity. How do you do that? By making things more clear, right? So if you have told Google via your website that you do this and this and this and this and this, but you include the wrong entities in your schema or in your content, then it's going to confuse the algorithm. And he's telling you right here, remove ambiguity. Okay, how do you do that? Well, that's for another video, but I wanted you to see this. And then the response was, well said. It's not flashy, but that clarity is actually what moves the needle, and they are correct. So moving on with this same conversation, grab it again. Josh McAdams, super smart guy. He also likes to joke. He says, not true. This never works. No one should try this. Delete this post. And then he comes back and says, when he's questioned, he says, "Joke, dude, works great, but do we really want to be sharing this with this many noobs and GPTEOs?" So he's just making a joke out of it because he knows it works. He's a smart guy. He's read up. He stays on top of everything. So we'll get this next one. Okay, I'm having a little issue with my mouse. The next comment says, create helpful content that answers real customers' questions. And the guy says, yes, that's the core of good SEO. Trust being the biggest thing. How do you build trust? By telling Google the same thing that's on your website, on other third-party platforms around the internet, and getting the on-page schema done correctly, which is basically your entities. You want to use as many relevant entities as you can in your schema, but you don't want to get off base and start adding third and fourth tier entities to your tier one entities in your schema, because that dilutes trust. It dilutes clarity, and it becomes more ambiguous, which is the exact thing that we want to get rid of. So this one, this comment, I don't know Alex Martinez, but I know what he's talking about here. He says, I like adding a collapsible FAQ to the homepage for clients. It helps slightly with ranking. And then Brenda Lee, whom I don't know any of these people, 5 FAQs on all service and product pages. We're moving to 3 to 5, but she is correct in what she's talking about. Why 3 to 5? Because you don't want to get too far out and try to claim too much on your website. Google is only going to believe the claims that they can verify on third-party platforms like social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TripAdvisor, so on and so forth. So this is the introduction that I wanted to give you into entities and how to get a map. Now I want to show you one thing. We have built an entire machine that helps us do this, and you can see this is created for a tree service, and these are all based on entities. All these entities all have a Wikipedia page, so you know they are real entities. Okay, that's how Google reads Wikipedia. If it has a Wikipedia page, it is an entity. But you can see here that there are tier 1 entities, tier 2, and tier 3 entities. So all of these things are relevant to a tree service business, but the tier 1 tree care is the most important one. And you don't want to add tier 2 to tier 1 if you can help it. But we have added some rules in here in this output that tell us exactly what we want to do. So let's just go along the top here, and you can see tier 1 tree care, and here's an HTML button. We threw that in there in case we want to use it on a third-party platform, but probably not going to use it a whole lot, as you will see in these recommendations. Do we use it in schema? Yes. Do we use it in service pages? Yes. Do we use it in Web 2.0? Yes, but on a limited basis. Do we use it in social media? Yes, but on a limited basis. We don't go hard with it. Do we use it in YouTube? Yes, but limited. Will we use it in Cloud Stacks? No. Why? Because, and I'll get deeper into this in subsequent videos, but you don't use tier 1 in backlinks. You're going to use tier 2 through tier 4, and there are other tiers too. that you could go on with, but the more tiers you have, the more complicated it gets. So, and you'll see what anchor type is allowed. You can do exact, but on site only. Remember what Bill Hartzer said. Let me see if I can find that. Bill said, I'll just bring it over here. Bill said 100% use inlinks for this. Internal linking done based on entities. And your blog post should be based on entity. If you don't know yet, keywords are gone. Keywords are now, and they are now used to show intent, but they're not going to rank you. Not without good content based on entities that Google understands. So look at our anchor type allowed, exact, on site only. Same thing Bill said. Do not use in cloud stack backlinks, spam blogs, or link farms. You'd never use your tier 1 entities for that. Doesn't matter what anybody said in the past, because 2026 is a different ball game. If you're still using keywords, you're using 2018 techniques. That's 7 years old, 8 years old. And so we could go through here and look at tier 2 and do a little more digging on it. And let's go to tier 3. Home improvement. Is that relevant to tree trimming or tree felling or storm damage? Yes, it is. Property damage, same thing. Tier 4. Wood is tier 4, even though every tree is made of wood. But that's not what the business is really about. That is a relevant term that goes along with everything a tree trimming service does. So I just wanted to try to get this across to you in a short video so that you can see what the way things really should be meted out in your content. And understanding entities is the place you want to start, because if you build a good foundation with entities, then all of your modifiers are going to give you more and more and better rankings. And when I say modifiers, I mean backlinks, I mean CTR, anything else. If you're blaming backlinks don't work, or you're blaming CTR doesn't work, or any of those other things that boost your web pages, it's probably because you don't have good content based on entities that Google can understand. So I can go on through here. I don't want to make this really about the product. I just want it to be educational. But we are mapping entities. We've got a publishing map, a location entity map. We have a services map. We have FAQ entity map. We have FAQ schema. We have service schema. And all of these things are important. And most important, you've got to understand them before you learn how to put them together. You got to understand what they are. So I'll see you in the next video.